Relaxing in natural geothermal hot springs, seal spotting in Kaikoura where the mountains meet the sea, and yes, travelling Sydney to Christchurch in Emirates' immaculate first-class suite. Here's how I had a delightfully luxurious weekend away in New Zealand for under $850 and how you can do it too.
First, if you need any convincing, I want to take you through just how awesome Emirates First Class is.
The feeling you're in for something special begins as soon as you enter the airport, with priority check-in and access to 2 separate lounges. The headliner has got to be the Qantas First Lounge, with its panoramic views of the airport and Sydney's iconic skyline in the distance. I didn't have time to try anything from the Neil Perry restaurant menu on this trip, but if you'd like a drink or bite to eat, there are plenty of delectable choices on offer. Make sure to check out our full review of the lounge over at PointHacks.com.au if you'd like to know more about the food or their day spa. Yeah, that's right, you can get full massages there. If you feel like something a bit more low-key, access to the Emirates Lounge is also included on the ticket. The seating is comfortable, the ambience is quiet and warm, and there are plenty of self-pour drink options to go along with their buffet-style menu. It's also situated right under the gates you'll likely be departing from, so it's a little quicker to board the plane from this lounge.
But let's get to the flight itself. It may only be 3 short hours between Sydney and Christchurch, but for that entire time, Emirates makes you feel like absolute royalty.
I begin my flight in 1A with a glass of champagne and the traditional Arabic coffee with date, a staple of Emirates' first class offering. I spend the time before we take off getting to know my seat, including the many chair positions, the different compartments filled with all sorts of goodies, and the 32-inch TV complete with an entire tablet to drive it, and a remote. As soon as we're in the air, I'm presented with the breakfast menu, including a wide range of drinks and bread options. I ordered the omelette as the main, which turns out to be one of the best omelettes I've ever had, and I'm also given an incredible selection of fruits, yogurts, breads, a cappuccino, and a breakfast martini. You certainly don't go hungry or thirsty in Emirates First Class. While I was dining, the flight's dedicated spa attendant had prepared the in-flight shower for me. You don't get the amenity kit offered on longer flights, but the spacious bathroom is filled with complimentary soaps and skincare products, so you've still got plenty of options to freshen up. I was surprised to discover it had enough pressure and heat to momentarily make me forget I was showering on a plane. The only real reminder being the still pretty generous 5-minute time limit. After the shower, my partner Chris and I checked out the walk-up bar at the rear of the plane, which had even more snacks and drinks to try, before returning to our seats for landing. I depart the plane not really feeling like I'd been on a flight across the Tasman Sea, more like I'd spent 3 hours in an exclusive hotel resort. For a quick look at a longer first class flight, PointHacks Brandon recently made a really great TikTok article about his flight to Europe. You get even more stuff, including hydrating pajamas, a mattress for when it's bedtime, and a movie snack menu. Pretty luxe.
Personally, I had such a good time, I'd recommend this taste of first class to anyone with the Qantas points to spare. So here's exactly how you can book it for $181.
To start, we want to find when the first class flights are actually available. To do this, head to the multi-city page, click Use Points, and punch in Sydney to Christchurch and back, plus the rough dates you want to be there for.
Even though we're essentially doing a return trip, this is the only way to access such a great discovery tool for business and first class reward seats.
I took first class over and economy back, so let's tick those 2 classes. And then it's really about just being flexible with your flights. It looks like we've got a first class seat available on the Thursday here. We're staying for 3 nights, so we can get an economy home on the Sunday. Just make sure to check the flight is with Emirates. It usually leaves Sydney around 7:50am or 8:50am during daylight savings. With the economy flight back, you usually have a couple of options. The Qantas flight is on their 737, the same plane you'd get flying Sydney to Melbourne, or for an extra 2,000 points and $8.49, you can fly back economy on the same Emirates A380 you came in on. With seatback entertainment and more spacious seats, it's quite a step above Qantas's offering, and I think I'd be opting for Emirates instead if I was to do this trip again.
This time round with the Qantas 737 as my return, the total cost for both flights cost 82,500 points and just under $265. I'm pretty happy with that deal.
Of course, first class is fantastic either way you go, and perhaps you do have enough points to go first on both flights.
But if you're like me and just going once to try it out, I personally felt like the upside of going from Sydney was a little bit better than the upside of going from Christchurch.
Mostly because you get access to that amazing Qantas First Lounge at Sydney International, including the incredible food and potential for a massage. But if you're going Christchurch to Sydney, you don't go completely empty-handed. You instead get access to the third-party Manaya Lounge.
It's far less fancy, and it's not always open, but hey, it's a lounge. And if you're looking for most time in the air, this flight back actually takes about 15 to 20 minutes extra, so you're getting a little bit of extra time in first class. Maybe an extra drink or two. Anyway, that's how I flew first class to New Zealand, but I got plenty more value out of this trip than just the first class flight, including thousands of bonus Qantas points. Here's how I did that.
We started our time in New Zealand by picking up our cheap hire car from Snap Rentals. From there, we headed north along the Canterbury region's Alpine Pacific touring route. Our destination? Braemar Lodge. This is a beautifully isolated accommodation with views of snow-capped mountains by day and the lights of Hammer Springs Township in the distance at night. Its spacious bathroom also has a double shower and hot tub, romantic, and the lounge has a delightful little gas fireplace to keep the room toasty. After a restful night in the sumptuous king bed, Chris and I headed into town early to watch the sunrise over the mountains. We spend the rest of the day wandering around the lush local forest, dining at a local cafe, feeding animals at a petting zoo, and whipping across the local river in a jet boat. We ended the day letting off some steam by relaxing in Hammer Springs' natural geothermal pools. And then unrelaxing with the warm water slides that also happen to be there. And then relaxing again.
Braemar Lodge was the perfect place to relax and call home for a couple of nights. We didn't use any hacks to get Braemar Lodge cheaper, but I did use my American Express Ultimate card to purchase that and the hot spring tickets, and with an earn rate of 1.25 Qantas points per dollar spent, I got a decent little bonus out of that.
If you're looking for even more points, there is quite a lot of accommodation available here on Qantas hotels, all of which can earn you 3 points per Aussie dollar spent. Because this site is in Australian dollars too, there won't be any hidden international transaction fees. On our third day in New Zealand, we said goodbye to Hammer Springs and continued 2 hours east along the Alpine Pacific touring route to the picturesque town of Kaikoura. There we spent a simply delightful afternoon down at the rocky coast, watching the hundreds of New Zealand fur seals that call this town home. Our final night in New Zealand was spent at a gorgeous little Airbnb room that overlooks the town, the mountains, and the sea beyond. Similar to hotels, you can actually book Airbnbs through Qantas and earn 1 point per Aussie dollar spent. On top of that, if you've never done this before, you get 500 Qantas points for your first Airbnb booking through them. And that's exactly what I did.
So this $288.13 stay ended up earning me well over 1,000 bonus Qantas points once you factor in the spend on my Amex credit card as well. Not bad for an already luxurious stay.
All too quickly, it was time to return home, stopping to see the sights and the delightful Waipara Hills winery on the short journey back to Christchurch Airport. And despite the flight home being a far cry from first class, we were treated to a bird's eye tour of the entire width of New Zealand's gorgeous South Island. Not a bad way to end a luxurious yet affordable weekend away. All up, my trip cost 82,500 points and $818.63 per person for flights, accommodation, and the hire car, which is a pretty decent saving on the $2,590 it would have cost without points. Remember, I also earned 788 points from Airbnb by booking it with Qantas, plus everything I booked on my Amex card, which was earning 1.25 points per dollar. That's a pretty great little bonus to put towards my next trip.
Maybe even another first class experience. If you'd like to know more about the best ways to earn frequent flyer points so you can do trips like this, head to PointHacks.com and subscribe to this channel to learn exactly how to book them. See you next time.